Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different from our usual format.
Right. Instead of a typical deep dive, we're looking at, well, a collection of stories.
Exactly. We've received this really compelling stack of first-hand accounts. True stories shared by listeners who work the overnight shift.
Alone, right, in these huge, old, empty buildings.
Yeah, exactly. Custodians, mainly. And tonight we're going to explore these narratives, these experiences of isolation, fear, and be really uncanny.
It's fascinating territory, that deep psychological vulnerability that kicks in with extreme solitude.
And how these empty places, schools mostly in these accounts, they transform from familiar spaces into something hostile.
Yeah, the architecture itself almost becomes an antagonist.
Okay, so let's start with the first story. This one comes from a guy, he spent 5 years working nights at an old middle school, built back in the 50s.
Okay, so an older building.
Yeah. And he said, at first he actually enjoyed the quiet, but pretty soon that shifted to unease. He described the building as feeling dead, but it was always creaking, groaning, like it was breathing.
That personification of the building is interesting.
He said he learned to ignore the usual stuff, like a locker door popping open or the pipes knocking. Standard old building sound.
Right, you rationalize those.
But the basement, that was different. He described it as this concrete maze, damp, musty smell, the type.
Yeah.
And the lights were terrible, flickering fluorescence. He often just used his flashlight.
Not exactly welcoming.
Definitely not. And get this, an older custodian had actually warned him about it, told him to avoid it if he could, kind of joking, saying it was haunted.
Ah, so there's that initial suggestion planted. Psychological priming?
Right, which probably didn't help when he had to go down there. He needed to get some folding chairs, kept in the second storage room on the left.
Okay, so he's forced into the place he's already uneasy about.
Exactly. So he goes into the storage room, and that's when he hears it. Just a soft, dragging sound out in the hallway.
Dragging? Like what?
He wasn't sure. Maybe a pipe settling. He tried to brush it off. But then, as he stepped back into the hall with the first load of chairs...
Something else happened.
Yeah. He felt this sudden, really powerful, cold draft. Hit him right in the face. And he stressed, this wasn't just the basement being cool. It was like opening a freezer door. Intense cold in this usually kind of warm, stale air.
Okay, that's a very specific sensory detail. The sudden, localized cold. It's hard to explain away easily.
Right. So that unnerved him.
Yeah.
He went back for the second load of chairs, and he said, this stack. It looked wrong somehow, like it had been shifted while he was gone.
Subtle, but disturbing when you know you're alone.
Totally. And then, just moments later, he hears a loud thump, followed by a scraping sound, but farther down the hall this time.
Okay, so the sounds are moving.
Yeah. He points his flashlight down there, and he sees a classroom door. One he knew was tightly closed. It was now cracked open, maybe 6 inches, about 20 feet away.
Oh, wow.
So heart pounding, he goes to check it out, pushes the door open, room's empty. Standard dusty old classroom.
Relief, maybe.
For a split second.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he turns back to the hallway, he hears it again, that dragging, shuffling sound. But this time, it was directly behind him.
Oh, no.
He didn't wait. He just bolted, ran upstairs, slammed the stairwell door, and locked it behind him, which, he mentioned, was against the rules.
I wouldn't blame him.
Me neither. And it wasn't over. About a week later, he's mopping the floor right above those basement stairs. Suddenly, he hears 3 loud bangs. Boom, boom, boom. Evenly spaced, coming from the basement door.
3 distinct bangs.
Followed immediately by the door handle rattling violently. Like, he said, like someone had shoved it hard from the other side.
Wow. That's targeted.
After that, he never went down to the basement alone again.
Ever. You really see how the initial warning, maybe dismissed as a joke, gets validated by these experiences. The dragging, the cold, the door, and then those bangs. It moves from weird noises to something that feels actively hostile and focused. The repetition, the localization, it cements the fear.
Okay, let's move to the second account. This custodian worked for about 3 years at a large high school. Again, often alone on overnight shifts. He called the building a giant maze. 4 floors.
Big empty spaces again.
Yeah, and he said the third floor was particularly oppressive. It just felt heavy. It had several old classrooms that weren't used anymore, just permanently locked, or supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
Well, one Friday night, he's doing his rounds up there. He's absolutely certain he'd checked and locked all the doors on that floor earlier. But as he's mopping down the hallway, he sees it. About 20 feet ahead, one of those locked classroom doors is open.
Sure.
Yep. Not wide open, just ajar. So he goes over, cautiously looks inside. Everything seems normal at first glance. Old desks, dust. But then he notices a cardboard box near the back wall. It's tilted, like it slid or fell, and there are scuff marks on the floor next to it.
Suggesting it had been moved? Dragged, maybe?
Exactly. He thought, okay, maybe I bumped it earlier and didn't realize.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just missed this door. He's tired, it's late. So he closes the door firmly, makes sure it's locked, and goes back to mopping. Tries to put it out of his mind.
Rationalizing again, trying to find a logical explanation.
But it doesn't last.
Yeah.
Just moments later, he passes by that same classroom door again. It's now wide open.
Oh, come on.
That's what he thought. Wide open, and the box, the one that was tilted near the back wall.
Where was it?
It was now sitting right in the center of the classroom floor.
Okay, no, that's not fatigue. That's something moving things.
Right. Absolutely undeniable at this point. He's terrified, but he manages to call out, "Hello, is anyone there?"
No.
Silence at first. Then he hears it. Coming from the back of the room, near where the box used to be. The sound of slow, deep breathing.
Breathing.
Yes. And he was very clear about this. It wasn't the wind, there wasn't pipes hissing. He said it sounded like someone trying to be quiet, but making sure I could hear it.
That description, making sure I could hear it, that's chilling. It implies intent.
Totally. He didn't stick around. He slammed the door shut, locked it, and immediately called his supervisor on the radio.
Did the supervisor come?
Yeah, the supervisor came up. They went in together. The box was still sitting there, right in the middle of the floor.
But no person. No explanation?
Nothing.
Yeah.
No one there. No obvious place anyone could have hidden and gotten out quickly. They checked everywhere.
Wow.
He did find out later, apparently years ago, some student had hidden in that specific classroom overnight as a prank.
Okay, so there's a bit of history, but
But it didn't explain the breathing he heard that night, when he was certain he was the only living person on that entire floor, maybe in the whole building.
no, it wouldn't. And that feeling, knowing something unexplainable happened, probably lingered.
He said it did. That feeling of being watched, especially on the third floor, never really went away. He ended up avoiding that floor as much as possible, always double-checking locks, never felt comfortable there again.
It's that breach of reality. The box moving is one thing, unsettling enough. But adding that auditory element, something as primal and biological as breathing, it takes the fear to a whole new level. It makes the presence feel alive.
Okay, our third story tonight. This one comes from a custodian about 2 years on the job at another old high school. He said the worst part of his shift, hands down, was cleaning the auditorium.
Auditoriums have a unique atmosphere, especially when empty. Huge space, weird acoustics.
Exactly. He said it felt totally different at night. The shadows seemed way darker, deeper, and sounds just, carried strangely. Echoes would get confusing, amplified.
Perfect setting for your mind to play tricks on you.
Definitely. So one night, he had to clean the auditorium earlier than usual because there was a play rehearsal or something the next day. He got in there around midnight. Stage lights off, just the dim house lights on.
Already kind of eerie.
Yeah. He starts working near the stage area. First, he hears this faint rustling sound. Coming from the stage itself, maybe behind the main curtain.
Okay, could be anything, I suppose. Curtains moving slightly.
That's what he thought. But then he heard footsteps. Distinct, slow footsteps walking across the wooden stage floor.
But the stage was empty.
Completely empty. He even went and pulled back the main curtain, checked the wings. Nothing there. Just silence again.
Okay, that's harder to dismiss. Footsteps are pretty specific.
Very. So he's a bit freaked out now, but he carries on cleaning the main floor seating area. As he's working his way down an aisle, he glances up at the second tier of seats. And he thought he saw a shadow move, just a flicker of movement up there in the dark.
Peripheral vision, maybe. Or just the way the dim light hits the seats.
Could be. He tried to tell himself that. But then he heard a whisper.
A whisper.
Yeah. A low whisper coming from somewhere up in the balcony seats, the third tier. He couldn't make out any words. It was too indistinct, but it was definitely there. A human whisper.
Wow. Okay, rustling, footsteps, shadow, now a whisper. It's escalating.
It really is. He's trying hard to ignore it, focus on cleaning. He moves back onto the stage itself to sweep or mop, and the whispering starts again.
Louder this time.
He said it was much clearer, and this time, it sounded like someone was saying his name.
His name.
Yes, whispering his name almost directly behind him.
Oh, that's incredibly personal and terrifying.
He said he spun around instantly, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. Nothing.
Yeah.
The huge stage was completely empty behind him.
It's just empty space.
Empty space. But as he stood there, frozen, listening. He heard soft footsteps again. This time, up on the upper levels, the tiers of seats above him, moving slowly, like someone was pacing back and forth up there, watching him.
Pacing, just watching.
That was the last straw. He just dropped whatever he was holding and ran out of the auditorium. He said as he was running out through the main doors, he could still hear the faint echo of those footsteps pacing, slowly fading away behind him in the darkness.
I cannot imagine the terror. Hearing your name whispered, then the sound of someone pacing above you watching.
He was deeply shaken. He later found out from other staff, sort of hushed conversations, that years ago, a drama teacher had actually died suddenly right there on that stage, had a heart attack during a rehearsal.
Ah, the classic backstory.
Right, and apparently some staff members claimed you could sometimes still hear him walking the stage, or hear faint whispers.
Which, of course, provides a narrative for the custodian's experience after the fact. It helps make sense of the incomprehensible.
Exactly. But for him, the backstory didn't really matter as much as the experience itself. He remains baffled, completely certain he didn't imagine hearing his name whispered right behind him. He eventually quit that job, and he made sure to mention he has absolutely no history of any mental health issues or hallucinations.
And you see that pattern again, right? Unexplained noises escalating to something highly specific and personal footsteps, then a voice, even using his name. In that kind of vast, empty, acoustically complex space like an auditorium, sensory input gets distorted. But the brain tries to find patterns, tries to make sense of it, and sometimes, especially under stress and alone, it lands on the most frightening pattern imaginable, a conscious presence.
So looking at these three stories together, the basement, that specific classroom, the huge auditorium,
Yeah.
what really stands out?
Well, there are some really strong common threads, aren't there? First, there's the theme of unexplained physical changes. Objects moving when they shouldn't, the chairs looking shifted, the box moving to the center of the room. That's deeply unnerving because it defies basic logic when you know you're alone.
Yeah, the physical evidence is powerful.
Then there's the sensory aspect, that intense, localized cold in the basement, or the oppressive feeling, the sense of being watched that multiple custodians mentioned. It's like the environment itself is reacting or has a presence.
And the sounds.
And the sounds, absolutely, but not just random noises. It's the specific, often repetitive or seemingly intentional sounds. The dragging, the distinct footsteps, the rhythmic banging, the breathing, the whispers, even saying a name. These aren't just bumps in the night. They feel directed. They feel like communication.
It's the consistency across different locations, but similar circumstances alone, large empty building, nighttime. It points towards something fundamental about how we perceive these environments, or perhaps what remains in them.
Exactly. The combination of isolation, the architecture design for large crowds now being empty, maybe acoustic phenomena we don't fully understand, and our own psychological predisposition to find agency in the unknown. It creates this perfect storm for terrifying experiences.
So when you take these accounts seriously as genuine experiences of the people involved, you're left wondering, what actually happens in these vast buildings when all the people leave? Are they just empty shells?
Or do they retain something? An echo, a resonance? Does the architecture itself, combined with profound silence and solitude, somehow invite these kinds of phenomena or perceptions?
It's a chilling thought that the mundane setting of a school, emptied of life, might become a stage for something else entirely. What forces or what echoes truly remain behind in the silence? Well, that's all the time we have for tonight's exploration into these unsettling accounts. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
If you found these stories compelling, please do consider following us. And maybe hit that like button. Share this deep dive with someone who appreciates the unsettling.
And definitely subscribe to the channel Horror Docs for more looks into terrifying true narratives and unexplained phenomena.
Stay safe out there. Good night.